Hello, everybody. Andy Goldberg here. Welcome back to the Founders Chair podcast. Very pleased to have as my guest on the show today, Chrissy Foskett from BD365. Chrissy, welcome to the Founders Chair.
Thank you for having me.
Really excited to hear your story, Chrissy. Can we start off just by hearing a little bit about you personally, where you're from, what you get up to when you're not at work, that sort of thing?
Okay, I'm originally from sort of South London. Got about a little bit, so sort of moved from there to Essex and then up to Scotland about 11 years ago through work. Sort of relocated my husband and two kids. I now have two businesses that I'm growing, and yeah, and four dogs that keep me pretty busy, in all honesty. Outside of work and dog walking, a lot of reading, podcasts, binge watching TV, nothing particularly exciting, I'm afraid, but and a lot of sort of learning and self-education as well in the background when I've got the chance.
Well, that's good to know. Tell us your story, Chrissy, about how the business first came about. What gave you the confidence to go out and do it on your own?
Desperation, in all honesty, I think was probably the first thing. So I'd actually relocated up to Scotland for work. I was working for a project management company and overseeing all sort of software integration and then some recruitment bits as well, which is a bit of a sort of jump between the two. And having relocated to Scotland, they suddenly decided that they wanted to outsource my department to Poland. And in all honesty, Scotland was cold enough as far as I was concerned. I wasn't going to kind of move anywhere that was going to be sort of any colder than that for me. And so I kind of found myself up here without my normal network and people that I could kind of go to. My husband, when we moved up, had actually started a little sort of, I suppose, pocket money side hustle cleaning business. He was kind of going around sort of cleaning nurseries and people's homes and sort of running their children and the dogs around. And I literally just kind of jumped into that with him, just sort of seeing it as being a temporary fix for a little while I looked for something else to sit there and do. But I kind of fell in love with it, which is bizarre because I've always hated cleaning. But I kind of have this philosophy that if I'm going to clean, I'm going to do it right first time and not get it wrong because there's no way I'm going to go back and do it again. And we just kept growing, within 4 weeks, we were both working sort of 50, 60 hours a week each, going out and cleaning sort of 7 days a week. And we were just like, we need to take on staff, we need to grow. So um, I think probably the confidence has come in stages. It's been a case of every time a challenge has come about, it's like, okay, we'll just deal with this, we'll just do with it. There's been no big kind of I can do this moment when I was starting it. It was kind of like through osmosis, but a few years on, when you've got like the likes of Disney and Dior asking you to do work, you're kind of realizing that you're not making do. You're kind of actually doing a really good job at what you're doing all of a sudden.
So you didn't really start your business by design. You didn't have a grand plan or a strategy.
Absolutely not.
Like,
Absolutely not. No, as I say, I always say I've kind of built my business on making mistakes and making it happen and then not making the same mistakes again and seeing what we can do to kind of prevent it.
I guess one of the plus sides of that is you're not making a leap that's going to create a fear. You're not thinking, oh, what are we going to, because it's happening by osmosis, there's nothing
Absolutely.
really to fear, right? So,
Absolutely. And it's one of the things, I mean, I remember I had a supervisor working for us a couple of years ago and she wasn't even a supervisor at the time. She was a cleaner. We wanted to almost make her do the jump above supervisor straight to sort of a site manager on it. And she's like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And it was like, I actually said to her, you're doing the job already. There's no doubt that you can do it because you are doing it. And that kind of hit home a little bit because that's what I've been doing. I'd kind of gone from, going out as a sort of temporary stopgap to put some food on the table to actually having a business that had like 25, 30 employees working for me. And it's like, actually, yeah, I am doing this right. It's there, but you say it takes that fear away. You kind of do it and worry about it afterwards.
so shoot first, ask questions later. We'll cross that bridge when we
Absolutely.
come to it. That kind of mentality
Absolutely.
of we
Yeah.
can we can handle anything.
Yeah, do it. Say yes. Definitely something my husband says, win it and then worry about it afterwards. It's like we do. It scares the life out of me because typically I am a kind of like I like to have everything detailed down and planned as to what we're going to do, but sometimes it's just not possible. You just have to kind of be able to adapt and not get frozen by that fear. It's like, yes, you can do it. If I can do it, anyone can, honestly.
Tell us a little bit about BD365. What do you do? Who do you do it for? Who are
Yep.
you?
So we are a cleaning company. Absolutely nothing sexy about that, as I always sort of said, but it's who we do it for more than anything else. So we do commercial cleaning as the main. We started off going into people's houses and cleaning in houses, but we very quickly kind of evolved to a much more commercial standpoint. So sort of some of our largest clients are sort of five-star holiday parks that we do full service for. We do work for sort of private schools where they're looking to outsource. So it's very much just taking the hassle away. It's for us, it's not necessarily the industry, it's the people that we're helping. So we kind of identified that, if you've got a facilities manager or an office manager who's like constantly struggling, having to deal with things, haven't got time to order the toilet roll or wash the tea towels, and it's that kind of client that we kind of go after. So we do that work. We also are biohazard trained specialists. So sort of we will go out and we will deal with the not so nice cleans. So your trauma cleans, your floods, your fire damages, your mold remediation, your hoarding cleans. And then probably what we're best known at throughout the industry now is actually our work with film, TV, and events. So, if there's big at the moment, you've got like Spider-Man being filmed in Glasgow. We've done work on Batman, The Flash, Indiana Jones, major TV shows. So we've done some work for like Outlander, kids' TV shows. I mean, I've got some of the best names on the books, and then we've also done event cleaning as well. So, we've cleaned for the likes of the Harry Styles concert and the Killers, and we did the private fashion show for Dior last year as well. So, it really has sort of come from doing sort of like Dennis and Mabel down the road to sort of working with the likes of Disney, Warner Brothers, and Dior. So, yeah, I still have to kind of pinch myself sometimes that, just Chrissy going out with her mop and bucket is now kind of coordinating these massive contracts and events all of a sudden.
So I'm a bit of a film nerd, so I'd love to be able to watch a film being made. And I saw some of the clips of Spider-Man in Glasgow. For those of you who are watching this on, recording, Spider-Man's being filmed right now in Glasgow. So there's a big explosion, and you got to go in and clean it up so they can do another
All sorts of
shot. Or
things, yeah, all sorts of things. I mean, sometimes it's the not so glamorous. It is kind of like doing the straightforward facilities. The stars have still got to go to the toilet. The portaloos do need to be good, but a lot of what we do is we look after. We've got a couple of film studios that we look after as well, so we're full service for those, looking after everything behind the scenes. We'll go a lot of film and TV work is actually done in people's houses as like standalone locations. So we'll go in, make sure it's clean beforehand, clean it afterwards. uh, but yeah, I mean, we've had to kind of scrub burn marks off of sort of memorials in the centre of Glasgow, and clear up after chickens and reindeer as well. Bizarre things that you wouldn't normally get, but um, it is fun, and there is that little bit of you see something on TV, and I'm like, we did that. We was in that house, and I'm like, we've watched it. I'm like, I'm sure I've cleaned in there before, and it's like but it's really good actually from getting staff on board as well, because cleaning it's one of those jobs where it's great because you get that immediate satisfaction that you've done a job and you've done a job well. But when my staff get to sort of say, "Oh my God, that was on TV. We did that. We did that. We did that." It makes it easy to recruit definitely from that point of view, which is great. But no, it's not all glamorous. Trust me, there are a million takes. So probably the biggest cleanup job that we did in film and TV was for the Indiana Jones that was filmed in Glasgow. So the big parade scene with the moon landing scene on that one. That was something like 8 days of filming for what turned out to be 2 minutes on screen. So, it was a huge amount of constant clearing up and confetti and all sorts of bits and pieces day after day. It's like Groundhog Day behind the scenes, it really is.
Tell us a little who in your business, or have you had anybody in your business or outside your business that's kind of inspired you or pushed and challenged you to be as successful as you can be, or to be the most that you can be in your business?
Um, Probably the thing that's actually inspired me to be the best that I can be, as well as having the cleaning business, was prior to COVID, I was involved in helping to set up a trade association for the cleaning industry. There was a group of us that had kind of got together to try and not necessarily regulate the cleaning industry because it is largely unregulated. And I've always sort of said the great thing about the cleaning industry is anyone can start up and be a cleaner because that's what I did. But it's also the bad thing about the industry as well that anyone can start up and be a cleaner and not necessarily know what they should be doing or how they should be operating. So we set up a trade association just prior to COVID, and then COVID hit. And if up here in Scotland, we were hit harder than probably a lot of other parts of the country. And despite the fact that cleaning should be something that, we're all being told to wash our hands, clean surfaces, cleaners weren't allowed to go out and clean, which was incredibly frustrating, especially because probably about 80% of our business at the time was domestic cleaning. So I got very, very heavily involved with obviously helping to support the cleaners up in Scotland that were stuck at home. We had, furlough hadn't been brought about at the time. You had self-employed cleaners that weren't entitled to anything for a very long period of time. Um, and just generally kind of working with them, trying to support them. We personally managed to give out, I think it was something in the region like £60,000 worth of work that we were able to actually sub out to people to sit there and actually help them sort of create a income whilst everyone was struggling as well. And I definitely remember sort of one of the members sort of saying to me that, I'd helped and trained more people in a month than some people do in a year. And that really kind of sort of stuck with me. It was like, okay, I am good at this. This is what I can do. And because up until that point in my mind, I'd just been like head down trying to survive and sort of help keep them going. And I'd not really taken stock of what I'd achieved and what I was doing. So for them, kind of pushing me on to sit there and be able to help other cleaners and actually develop what I was doing myself was a real kind of turning point for me.
What would you say has been your biggest learning as a business owner to date?
Um, Progress beats perfection, I think. I used to always be someone that before any phone call, any meeting, I would prep, 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 prep. If I wanted to do something, I would prep everything. If I go on holiday, I've got the world's longest checklist before I even start. But I've kind of now, I suppose I've got this saying, it's not about being spotless, it's about starting. You can't grow from a blank page. If something is running, it's easier sometimes to sit there and fix it and make that happen. But making that decision to start or change something or do something can be really difficult. So just do it.
Yeah, so just start. Don't wait until you're 100% ready.
You'll
Uh,
never be 100% ready, ever. I'm still not.
yeah, and I guess as a, as somebody that owns a cleaning company, when you're cleaning for your clients, everything needs to be perfect, everything needs to be right. But sometimes in
Mhm.
your business, good just needs to be good enough because you have to keep moving on.
Absolutely.
You can get
Abs-
hung up on the detail.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What's been your biggest challenge during the years? I'm guessing what it might be, but what's
Yeah, no, it is. There's that horrible C word again. It was COVID. We were completely shut down. As I say, we lost 80% of our business overnight. The other 20%, the offices were shut. People weren't going out and about. So, it really did hit us down. Where we were lucky is that we were sort of biohazard trained beforehand. So for the businesses that could stay open, we were able to provide them the support that they needed to keep them operational as well. But I've my mum always turns around and sort of says I'm probably the jammiest person she knows. And I'll be honest, sometimes that frustrates me because if something goes bad, I manage to get something out of it. Not manage to turn it around so that there is some positive that comes out of it or something that works from it. And likewise again during COVID, we were shut down. But if it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't have the film and TV side of things that I do because that purely came about because a company was operational. They had to have their touch point cleaning. They came to us. We went in there. We did a really good job. We networked. That was our very first production, and we've been working consistently in it ever since. But if there hadn't have been COVID and we hadn't been biotrained, then we would never have got into that side of the industry at all. So, it's about challenges are there. Challenges happen every single day. It's how you approach them and what you learn from them and what you take from them. And that's what I've been able to do.
Yeah, it's how you respond. You can't stop the things happening. You can only change how you respond.
Absolutely.
And it's another breakthrough moment, right? Like, so you got into the film industry not by design necessarily. So sometimes the greatest things happen from a different direction.
Yeah,
and you got to seize
absolutely.
those when they come, I guess. So,
Yeah.
that's a great story so far. What so just one more thing around the COVID challenge. Like you seem like you're probably pretty resilient, right? So tough, anything thrown your way, you can handle it and probably show a tough exterior, very confident. Like, what about yourself mentally on the inside, emotionally? Like, do you ever wish somebody would say to you, look, Chrissy, I don't think you're as tough as you think you are. Like,
I'm
we all
definitely,
need a shoulder to cry on.
yeah, I am definitely not as tough as I am. And as I say, mentally, I'll be honest, COVID nearly broke me between having, obviously, like with the support that I was giving for other cleaners and helping, and quite empathetic. So I was kind of like drawing in a lot of their stories and wanting to help them. And, personally as well, we went through a really difficult time during COVID. I mean, I was hospitalized during COVID myself on that one. So I was taken in. Um, but also mental health wise, it wasn't so much me, it was my sort of family. So my daughter suffered really, really badly with mental
Mhm.
health on that one. And that was really, really tough to sit there and deal with. And, to still, to in effect go through nights where, I'll be honest, and I've spoken openly about it before, where I was pretty much on suicide watch with my daughter, making sure that she was okay, but still having to turn up the next day for work and making sure that everything goes on. There's absolutely no doubt that I literally hit breaking point at certain times on that, where I was like, hands up, I can't do this anymore. I have got to get some help. I've got to get some support on it. And as someone who is as physically independent as I am, that was really, really tough to do, but you have to. You cannot do it all on your own, whether it's personally or professionally.
Yeah, people need to remember these, entrepreneurs, business owners, successful people they're still people and
Hmm.
they're going through their own things, right? And they're going through them. They're just doing
Absolutely.
this. They've just got to be they've got to
You,
be
you,
the positive,
you've got to show
optimistic
up.
leader, right? Got
Yeah,
to show up.
exactly. My
Uh,
my home life might be completely crumbling, but I've still got a business to run and I've still got to go out there and do that. And I'm very kind of open and honest with my staff. I will tell them how it is. I will turn around and tell them that when the, SH1T hits the fan, I'll be the first person in there jumping in and helping them. But I've still got a business to run. We still have to make sure, we look after our staff and their mental health and their well-being. But at the same time, we've got a business. We're all a team. We've all got to work together and we've all got to pull together as well.
so what's the next big thing for you in your business, Chrissy? What do the next few years look like in terms of growth and opportunity and challenge?
Um, Growth and opportunity, it's doing really well. We're sort of starting to do a lot more of our commercial work with the outsourcing. So just letting companies just completely take away the hassles. So as I say, it's everything from toilet rolls to tea towels to who's watering the plants and who's picking up the milk. So much, much more than just being seen as just a sort of cleaning provider. With the TV and film and the event side of things, we're now doing that nationwide, which is yes, scary because the control freak me wants to be there for each one, but it's like, no, we've got good people trained. They can go out and do what they want to do. But also, whilst I'm no longer part of the trade association that I was, I'm still helping and supporting other cleaning businesses. So I've formalised that. I've now got a new company which is going out providing help and support to other cleaning businesses that, for people that have started up the messy way, as it were, and do want that little bit of real talk. I won't ever sugarcoat it. I will sort of turn around and sort of say that you can't do that, but yeah, things go wrong. You don't have to be perfect to start. It's never going to be perfect right the way through. And if you keep comparing yourself to that, you know, timeline and benchmark and everything that's going to be right, you're always going to be kind of like holding yourself back and feeling that you failed and you haven't. You're just growing incrementally.
What um what final advice would you have for business owners or would-be business owners who are considering going out on their own or who are just starting out on their own?
Um, Probably two things. One is get your systems in place if you can do. If you've got a spare 5 minutes, while you're starting up, just write down some of the processes and things that you want to do, so you can kind of formalize, like so you can formalize it later on. Because it's much easier to do that than it is to play catch up. I didn't have my systems and procedures in place, and all of a sudden I had 10 staff working for me, and I'll be honest, I didn't have a company handbook. I was playing catch up with it all. So I ended up outsourcing it all. But also just don't be afraid to make mistakes. The mistakes are where, the messy side of things, the mistakes are where you actually learn and where you absolutely grow.
Great advice and a great place to finish on, Chrissy. We're out of time.
Thank you.
But it's been an absolute pleasure hearing your story and speaking with you today. So I
Thank
want
you
to
for
say
having
thank you
me.
very much for taking the time to appear on the Founders Chair. Much appreciated. And thanks to all of our listeners for tuning in to the Founders Chair as always, and keep an eye out for many more to come on YouTube and Spotify and on LinkedIn and all those places where business owners hang out and watch and listen to things. And just to say once again, thank you very much to Chrissy Foskett from BD365. Chrissy, thanks again.
Thank you.